Hey there, everyone. It's Camber here with Yo Pros in the Know, our podcast and video interview series. We are here today with Naomi Boshari, a 26-year-old editor at Elephant Journal in Dublin, Ireland. We're connected to Naomi by Jason Kramer, whose story recently went out up on the platform. So if you haven't checked that out yet, please do. Before we get started, you may notice I am sitting at a Starbucks. I was just telling Naomi that when your internet goes out at your apartment, you gotta improvise pretty quickly. And so I ran over here. It's pretty close to my apartment, so it's a new scenery today for you guys. But without further ado, I'm gonna hand it over to you, Naomi. Just go ahead and start us off by giving us a background, where you're from, what you currently do, and then we'll dive into those details.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Camber. It's nice to meet you and everyone in the YoPro community. My name is Naomi, and I currently work as an editor for Elephant Journal. We're a mindfulness platform publication so anyone can submit on our site, which is a really cool thing about it. I also, I've always been a writer my whole life, so I do creative writing on the side, and I've done some freelance writing work. I've only been doing this for about 2 years. Before that, I worked the typical 9-to-5 office job at, big bank corporation in HR, and which was totally out of my field because I studied English literature at school. So I did English literature at McGill University in Montreal. And then, typical finished school, didn't know what to do. And the job at the bank was the first job I ever got. And then, kind of found my way to doing what's more in line with my passion and, what I actually love to do. So that's where I am now.
Great. That's a great overview. Thank you for sharing that. So what does your day-to-day look like now?
My day-to-day now, it's pretty flexible, which I like, but at the same time, I do try and keep an 8 to 6, 9 to 5 kind of schedule. So I work part-time from a co-working space, which is really nice just to meet, other young professionals and people who work remotely. With COVID, obviously that changed a little bit. So we just opened back up a couple weeks ago. But I also like working from home, just the nature of my job, editing and writing. It's very, solitary, and you kind of have to be in your own headspace a lot of the time. So I usually do probably like 5 hours editing a day. And then I also work on the social media side of our platform. So we all do a couple hours of social media, managing our Instagram and our Facebook. That's the way that we get all of our articles out there. And it's actually a really fun part of the job too, because, editing for 8 hours straight, it can be a lot. But it's great because I work for a company, so, I do have structure in that way, but then because the job's remote and I'm a contract worker, I have flexibility over when I want to work. So I go to the gym midday and then, work a little bit later, or want to take a day off and then just make it up another day. So it's really nice to have that flexibility.
I bet. And I would imagine that COVID, of course, it has some changes for you and your industry, but probably hasn't made a ton of changes. Like, you've been able to kind of, being in that industry, I would imagine, is so flexible. And so I think that probably, I would imagine, has not really impacted you in a negative way.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, it's I hate to say that it was kind of a good thing for us, but it kind of was, just in the sense that since everyone was home and, this is such a tough time for everyone, they were actually looking for platforms like ours to connect with other people and share their stories. So it was kind of a cool opportunity for us to be there for people in, a really low point in human history, right? And it was, it kind of reminded me why I'm doing the work I'm doing, which was really nice. And then obviously, you're at home isolating, and then you don't feel motivated to log into work, and then you do, and you read a story about someone else who's at home isolating, and suddenly, you feel like, okay, we're all in this together. So that was a really special thing.
So can you talk a little bit about Elephant Journal? You mentioned it's a mindfulness journal. Like can you tell us more about that? Because like you said, I would imagine this time period, you've seen a lot of people writing in, I would guess.
Yeah, we have gotten quite a few more submissions with COVID, and then, the I'm sure you know the current political climate in the States too. It's been a lot of a lot of kind of opposing sides, but then we get quite a few people who are, they just want to understand more, who give really personal anecdotes about what's going on. So that's really nice. It's not, yeah, it kind of gives us more of the human behind the major events. And that's what I really love about our job. It's people telling their own real stories. So yeah, our slogan is like all about the mindful life. But we really cover everything from like relationships to politics, yoga, meditation. So yeah, as long as you're writing something that's kind of benefit to the world, we welcome your voice on the site. So I was writing for Elephant for I think about 2 years before I got this job. And it was, yeah, it helped me through so many low moments in my own life, and writing on it connected me with lots of people too. And I do still write on the site. And then we have an academy program. So I did some courses through them, and then that's how I got the job here. But yeah, I feel like it doesn't even feel like work half the time. So I just enjoy what I'm doing so much, which is really special.
And that's really cool to hear for somebody who's 26 years old to say, because a lot of people don't find that. So I'm very eager to share Elephant Journal with our followers and with our audience, and hopefully, we can connect with some people. So you're living in Dublin. Your office is based in Dublin?
No, actually, the headquarters is in Boulder, Colorado. Okay. So Elephant is a US-based company. So I was working remote when I was living in Toronto as well. And then I moved to Dublin. They needed someone in this time zone because we have staff covering at all hours of the day. And yeah, I moved to Dublin just totally kind of randomly. I'd always wanted to live here, and really, lucky to have a job that allowed me to do that. So yeah, I just switched over, and I'm on night shift here, which is daytime for me, but night shift for back home. So yeah.
Very cool. And so what made you want to move to Dublin? What was it about Dublin?
Everyone always asks me this, and I don't have like some great intellectual response. It's really just, I'd always wanted to live here. Something about the culture and the lifestyle really appealed to me. Back in Toronto where I'm from, it's always been home, but I didn't really like that like fast paced kind of go way of life. And, it's a great city if you're really starting a career for networking opportunities, and lots of job opportunities in Toronto too. But I think I was just ready for a different pace of life, and the people here are just so friendly. It was really easy to feel like home right away.
Very cool. I might have to come visit. I don't know. So tell us more, going backwards. Talk about your first few jobs, before Elephant Journal, and what that looked like. I know you kind of briefly touched on it, but what made you realize that going back into writing was what you were supposed to do?
Yeah, I actually had like those wake up moments people have. Like I always heard other people talking about it, and I was kind of like waiting for it to happen for me. And for me, it was actually, I had broken my ankle one summer. So kind of, I think of it as kind of a similar situation to what's happening, obviously not to the same extent, but with COVID, like a moment that forces people to kind of pause and reflect on what's going on with their lives. So I was working at Capital One, the credit card company, in HR for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And there was nothing wrong with the job. Like it was a great first job out of school. But I think one day I was kind of like, I started to feel that I was trying to get through the days. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I was feeling really just uninspired, and, starting to want to find work that actually connected more to my why, like what I wanted to do on this earth. And and then I broke my ankle, and so I was homebound for like 3 months. And I remember I was kind of experiencing the whole world in a different way, like navigating the city on crutches. And as a writer, I started to write about the experience. And I shared my first ever article on Elephant about that experience. And as soon as I got the notice that my article was going to be published, I just had this feeling inside that was like, oh my God, I have to pursue this. Like, I couldn't deny it anymore, or, put it off anymore. So I did. I think I spent the next about 6 months pursuing that on the side until I actually quit. So I started like writing on Elephant, building up my portfolio a little bit more, doing basically like free writing to other sites. And then, yeah, I just one day handed in my notice and quit my job. And I didn't have anything like officially set for that time period. I just was like, okay, I'm going to go headfirst into writing. And I actually tried to do freelance writing for a couple months before I got this job at Elephant. And that was a total fail, but I think of it as, you know, a learning opportunity that also got me to where I am now. So yeah,
that's a really cool story. I think the point that really stuck with me was you were trying to get through the days, and our days are, you know, too long and our weeks are too long to have that happen, especially in your 20s, because you've got a lot longer to go in terms of work. So I think that's really great that you were able to see that there was this gap and this hole. And so I'm glad you were able to fill it with this, because it seems like it's been a great role for you. So I'm mindful of our time, so I do want to wrap up with a few last minute questions. Moving away from the workplace, I know we've talked a lot about your career. What kinds of things do you enjoy about being a young professional, whether it's just in general or in Dublin specifically?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're right that it can kind of have a negative connotation, especially if you're doing your own thing or doing something that's kind of off the beaten path. But I just love that I think there's just so much opportunity to actually do what you love. And I think that's the one thing that when I was in school, they didn't really tell you. Like, you always thought that there was just these kind of main tracks that you had to go along. And entering the workplace and being a young professional, you realize how many people are just doing such different things out there that it's really, you know, it's really eye-opening. I think when I was in that job, especially too, I had that feeling of like, well, what else am I going to do? And then once you actually step out and realize like there's so much you can do, I think that's a really special moment to realize that. And you can pursue things that are actually helping others too. You know, I think that's what really inspires me, is to realize that, like, you know, as an individual, I actually can make a difference, even if it's in a really small way. But that's really what helps me kind of have the opposite of like actually enjoying my day and wanting to get out of bed. And yeah, in terms of Dublin, like, I just love that, I don't know, everyone finds a way to like enjoy life, even if they have jobs they don't like. They aren't staying at the office till like midnight because, you know, people will think that you're the hardest worker. It's like, you know, come out and remember that there's so much else going on, which is something that I really try and remember too, that yeah, as much as you can love your work, there's so many other aspects of life as well, and you want to enjoy that too.
Yeah, I don't think people in the States do so well with finding a way to enjoy life, even if they don't like their job. So maybe one day we can, you know, who knows? I keep thinking that COVID will kind of spark some of that in people, but we'll see. Only time will tell. All right. Well, Naomi, my last question for you today is, what drives you?
Yeah, I think I kind of alluded to it there. What the biggest thing that drives me is making a difference in people's lives, I think, even if it's in small ways. I know when I was working at the bank before, I was just so far removed from seeing an impact in my work. And here, you know, I'll edit someone's article and I'll get a message being like, you have no idea how much this made my day. Or I'll remember the feeling I got when I got my first article published and how much it made my day. So it's just really a special thing to be able to do that for someone else. And then, you know, at our company, our whole mission is about trying to make the world a better place. So I do feel like that's just, again, something that keeps me inspired, coming back to our mission every time. And yeah, trying to do my part, even if it's not on a huge scale, it's at least doing something small.
Right. Where can people find you?
So they can find me on Instagram it's just my name, Naomi Boshari. I share writing and poetry, some more creative stuff there. Or they can find me on Elephant Journal. I have an author profile, so it's just elephantjournal.com/Naomi Boshari. Yeah, I'm on other platforms, but those are the main ones you can find me at.
Well, we're excited to to again have you on our podcast and video series today, Naomi. Thank you so much for giving us some insight, and good luck with everything.
Thanks so much. It was great talking with you.